In this video, I'm going to talk about one simple trick that can instantly improve the cinematic look of your videos, and that's focusing on your framing and composition. What happens generally, especially for beginners, is that we just think about filming the subject. We don't take into account the frame, the angle, the camera movement. We just think about framing the subject in the middle of the screen, and that's it. That's exactly what happened to me. I only thought about filming the face of the subject in the middle of the frame without considering the whole environment around the subject. It sounded very amateurish. However, it doesn't mean that having the subject in the middle is bad, but you should think of the environment and not only the subject. When it comes to creating a visually engaging video, framing and composition are key. The way you frame your shots can greatly impact the mood and tone of your video, as well as the way your audience perceives the subject. Let's dive into some tips and tricks for improving your framing and composition. Tip number 1, use the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a guideline for framing your shot where you imagine dividing the frame into thirds both horizontally and vertically. The points where these lines intersect are known as the points of interest, and placing your subject at one of these points can create a more visually appealing and balanced shot. For example, you can shoot a person on the left side and leaving a bit space on the right side so that the subject is placed in a point of interest. This type of shot is much more impactful and relevant than keeping the subject in the middle of the frame. Placing your subject in the center can create a static, boring shot. However, it's important to remember that the rule of thirds is just a guideline. Sometimes, breaking the rule can create a more interesting shot. Of course, it's not always the case, but once again, just try to respect this rule as much as you can. You won't do any mistake doing so. Tip number 2, pay attention to negative space. Negative space is the area around your subject, and it can be just as important as the subject itself. Leaving some space around your subject can create a sense of balance and harmony in your shot, while filling the frame completely can create a sense of tension and claustrophobia. However, it's important to use negative space intentionally. Here again, too much negative space can make your shot feel empty. Just take an example of a shot of a person sitting on the right side of a frame, and you just leave a lot of space on the left side of the frame. This type of shot just gives your audience the possibility to interpret and to have a certain feeling about the atmosphere coming out from this shot. But leaving too much space in this shot could have made it feel unbalanced and empty. Tip number 3, use leading lines. Leading lines are lines within your shot that draw the viewer's eye towards the subject. These create a sense of movement and flow in your shot and can be used to emphasize important elements or create a sense of depth. Leading lines can be natural, such as a road or a river, or artificial, such as a staircase or a fence. It can be just streets or buildings, or just bush around the subject, everything that can lead the audience's eye to the subject. This is very easy to use, but so powerful. So just go outside and you will see leading lines everywhere. So just pay attention to that and don't neglect this tip, because it's the best way to captivate your audience and to have a much more relevant shot. Tip number 4, experiment with framing. Don't be afraid to experiment with different framing techniques such as close-ups, medium shots, and wide shots. Each type of framing can create a different mood and tone in your shot, so try mixing it up and see what works best for your subject. Close-ups can create intimacy and emotion, medium shots can show context and environment, and wide shots can create a sense of scale and grandeur. But I want to remind you once again that using the same type of framing for every shot can create a monotonous and uninteresting video. So there you have it. Focusing on your framing and composition can instantly improve the cinematic look of your videos. By using the rule of thirds, paying attention to negative space, using leading lines, and experimenting with different framing techniques, you can create a visually engaging experience for your audience. Of course, there are more rules and more type of composition, but if you just focus on these 4 tips that I just gave you in this video, the quality of your video and shots will just go to the next level. So just practice as much as you can in these 4 points and you will see how much you improve your filmmaking skills. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe to my channel and you will undoubtedly become a better filmmaker. Thank you for watching this video until the end. Tell me in the comments what you would like to see in the next video, and I see you soon.